Hey everyone, welcome back. Getting right into it, in this deep dive, we're tackling Google's latest AI creation, Gemini.
Gemini.
And let me tell you, it's making waves, and for good reason. We're not just talking about another AI that's great with language.
Right.
Gemini's gunning to be a true multimodal powerhouse.
Yeah. If you think about it,
Images, audio, even video. It's like they're trying to build the ultimate AI Swiss Army knife.
it's ambitious, really ambitious,
Yeah.
to create one model that can handle such a diverse range of tasks.
Yeah.
I mean, most AI models we see now are hyper-specialized, right?
Yeah.
But Gemini, they're aiming to be a true generalist.
And to wrap our heads around this, we're going straight to the source. A research paper fresh from Google themselves. But don't worry, we'll break it down, jargon-free, because really we're after the impact. What does Gemini mean for the future? What does it mean for us?
And that's the big question, isn't it? This is potentially a game changer.
So no pressure, Gemini. But let's get into it. What is this model all about? What makes it so different?
Well, first things first, Gemini isn't just one model. It's a whole family of models.
A family of AI.
Think of it like this. You've got Gemini Ultra, the big kahuna, designed for those really demanding, complex tasks. Then you've got Gemini Pro, it's like the middle child. A good balance of performance and efficiency, a more versatile all-arounder.
Makes sense.
And then for devices, think your phone, you have Gemini Nano, smaller, more compact, but still powerful.
So they're thinking about how people will actually use this, not just, creating a super AI in some lab somewhere.
Exactly. Google's vision here is for Gemini to be integrated everywhere in search engines, creative tools, you name it.
I can see that. It's like, why build an amazing car if no one can drive it, right? Okay, but how do you even begin to train an AI model to be this adaptable, to be this versatile?
Well, imagine giving Gemini a massive buffet of information to learn from.
Okay, go on.
And I'm talking about everything: text, images, audio, video. They've trained these models on a truly gargantuan data set, bigger than anything we've seen before. This lets Gemini learn patterns and relationships across all these different types of data.
So they basically fed it like the entire internet.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
And all that learning,
Yeah.
it's led to some seriously impressive results.
Yeah.
For example, Gemini Ultra, it just blew past all previous AI models on this massive test of knowledge called MMLU.
Hold on. So it's not just like a jack of all trades. It's actually a master at some things, too.
Oh, absolutely. And it goes way beyond general knowledge. The paper dives into how Gemini excels at translation, often outperforming AI models specifically trained for that one task.
Wow, that's wild. Especially if it can do all that right out of the box. No specialized training for each language or anything.
Right. And get this. Gemini also has coding capabilities. They've actually used a Gemini Pro model as part of AlphaCode 2, which is a whole other beast. But basically, it's a system that can write code.
Oh, okay, now I'm intrigued. Can it write good code, though?
Good. Let's just say it's exceeding the performance of a large percentage of human competitors in these coding challenges.
Wait, seriously, AI is writing code that's better than what many human programmers can come up with. That's...
It's the future, my friend. And it shows just how powerful these models are becoming.
That's putting it mildly. It's like straight out of a sci-fi movie. If it can code like that, what else can it do?
Well, it turns out Gemini is also a bit of an art connoisseur, making waves in the world of image understanding.
Oh, how so?
Think about it. It can analyze images and answer really complex questions about them, even college-level questions across different subjects. That shows real understanding, not just recognizing objects, but understanding the context, the meaning within an image.
So instead of just saying, hey, that's a picture of a cat, it can actually get what's happening in the image, the story behind it.
Exactly. And that ability to understand context, it's not limited to still images either.
Gemini also does well with videos.
Yeah.
Captioning, answering questions about what's happening. It can analyze a sequence of frames, understand how things unfold over time. Whoa, that's next level stuff. So it's not just seeing a bunch of still images, it's actually comprehending the whole video like a human would.
Precisely. And that's a big deal. This is temporal reasoning, folks, crucial for tasks like analyzing security footage or understanding, say, the things that happen in a sequence.
Okay, this is all seriously impressive. But I have to imagine there are limitations, right? No AI is perfect, especially one trying to do this much.
You're absolutely right. There are limitations. Even with all this progress, we're still early in the game of general-purpose AI. One thing the paper points out is model size. It seems to play a big role in how well these models actually perform.
So bigger is better, at least for now.
It seems that way, yeah. They actually have this chart, figure 3, in the paper if you want to check it out. But basically, it shows that the larger the model, the better it performs, especially on those really, really complex tasks.
So even Gemini Ultra, their most powerful model, still has room to grow.
For sure, for sure. And that raises a really interesting question, actually, for the whole field of AI.
Mhm.
How much bigger can these models get? Like, are there actual physical limits to how much data and computing power we can use?
It's like building a skyscraper at some point. The foundation just can't handle anymore, right?
Exactly, exactly. And it makes you wonder, are there completely different ways to approach AI? Ways that maybe are more efficient or less reliant on just brute force? Big question.
It's mind-blowing to think about, really. But while we're in the future, let's come back to the present for a second. We've talked about Gemini's power, but with great power comes great responsibility, right? What about the ethical side of all this? Building an AI this capable?
Absolutely. A crucial point. And the paper actually addresses that. They talk about responsible AI and some of the steps they're taking to ensure that Gemini is used safely and ethically, which I thought was interesting.
Okay, so what are they doing to make sure this AI doesn't go, rogue or accidentally start creating harmful content, things like that?
So one thing they're doing, and this is really cool, they're testing these models for bias in a unique way. They call them harm-inducing queries.
Harm-inducing queries. Okay, now I have to ask. That sounds a little ominous. What does that even mean?
Basically, they're trying to intentionally get the model to mess up. They'll give it a question or a prompt that's designed to try and trigger a biased or harmful response.
So they're trying to find the AI's weak points, the areas where it might show bias.
Exactly. They're really pushing the model to its limits, seeing how it reacts.
And what have they found?
Well, this is where it gets even more interesting. Even though they're trying to make these models as robust and as unbiased as possible, they're finding that Gemini can still be tricked, especially when it comes to images.
Wait, so even with all these precautions, Gemini can still exhibit bias?
That's right. And the researchers admit that there's still a lot more work to do here, which really highlights how difficult it is to build truly ethical and unbiased AI. It's not just about the data or the algorithms, it's a much bigger challenge.
That's a bit of a sobering thought. So we have this incredibly powerful AI, but it's not perfect, and there's a real risk of misuse.
Yeah, that's the tightrope walk we're on with AI, right? It has this amazing potential, but we have to be very careful about the potential downsides.
So how do we balance that, the potential good with the potential risks?
The million-dollar question, honestly, I think it's going to take a village, right? Researchers, policymakers, the public, we all need to be part of this conversation about AI's future. We need guidelines, safeguards in place, but also we don't want to stifle innovation. It's tricky.
And I think a huge part of that, like you said, is awareness, making sure people really understand what AI can do, the good and the bad.
100%. When people are informed, they can make better decisions about the role they want AI to play in their lives and in society as a whole.
Well said. So as we start to wrap up here, what's the biggest takeaway you think our listeners should walk away with from all of this? So as we start to wrap up here, what's the biggest takeaway you think our listeners should walk away with from all of this?
It's funny. Even after diving deep into this paper, it keeps coming back to that idea we touched on earlier about model size and how well it performs. Like even Gemini Ultra, as powerful as it is, has its limits. So it makes you wonder, is bigger always better when it comes to AI?
It's such a good question. Like, at some point, even with all the data in the world, all the computing power, do we hit a ceiling? Is there a limit to what these models can do if we just keep scaling them up?
Right. And the paper even hints at this, that maybe there are totally different ways to approach AI that we haven't even fully explored yet. Like, what if we could get the same level of performance, but with smaller, more efficient models? Think about that.
That's incredible. Instead of just building bigger and bigger AIs, it's about finding those more elegant, smarter solutions.
Yes, exactly. It's like brute force versus finesse. And we might be at this point with AI where we need to shift gears a bit, moving away from just sheer scale and towards something more nuanced, more like how our brains work.
Makes you wonder what we're on the edge of, right? What kind of incredible breakthroughs are waiting if we start thinking about AI in this totally new way?
Now you're getting it. This isn't just about some small improvement in performance. This is about fundamentally changing how we approach AI, unlocking potential that seems impossible right now.
It's like we're at the very beginning of a whole new era of AI, and Gemini is just a taste of what's to come. It's exciting, a little bit scary, maybe, but definitely something we need to be talking about.
I couldn't agree more. This deep dive, it wasn't just about Gemini. It was about the big picture, where AI is headed and what it means for all of us.
Well said. And on that note, I think we'll leave our listeners with that to think about. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey into the world of Gemini. We hope you found it as fascinating as we did.
Until next time.